Welcome to Unwinding with Support Group, a mental health podcast by licensed professionals where we discuss mental health topics from a real-world perspective, all while having a drink. So hang out, have some laughs, enjoy the ride, and maybe learn a bit. Welcome to another episode of Unwinding with Support Group. I am Arlene, per usual. I'm an LPC, but today I have something different. I don't have wine. I forgot to put it in the fridge earlier today, if I'm going to be honest.
Nice.
I opened the fridge and went, damn it. But I have my backup, which is Smirnoff Ice Smash, the red, white, and berry, which it's blue, raspberry, cherry, citrus. It's quite yummy, actually.
Okay.
It's a little bit yummy. It's my backup. It's, big 8% alcohol over here. But they're yummy, which is all I care about. I have Kelly with me today, for all of you
Hello.
who are wondering. Kelly is also an LPC.
Hi, everybody. I am drinking water and some gin and Sprite Zero.
Oh, exciting. All
Yeah,
right.
it's not nearly as fun as yours, to be fair.
No, mine was yummy. Mine just tastes. I like the things that taste good.
Yours tastes like America.
America. I was like, oh, that's really cute, Smirnoff, but it just tastes yummy. Oh, it's the berry flavors.
That's cute.
All right. So today we're going to talk about happy chemicals, and we don't mean drugs. So before you guys are like, yes, which ones do I take that makes me happy? If you don't know that, I don't know what to tell you. We're not telling you. Oh, sorry. We're going to talk about the happy chemicals that you actually produce that are already in your body. We're going to talk about different hormones, different chemicals that are naturally produced, how they interact, what they do, what they don't do, and all that good fun stuff. That's today's episode. So, very exciting stuff. I hope you stick around as we help you understand better what actually is going on inside of you and how to maybe hack some of these things along the way. Because these are important life hacks, unlike some of the ones you see on the internet, which they show you as a life hack, and then you go, that's not a life hack.
Right.
But on that note, I really want to start with what I think most people would identify as one of the first ones, probably is dopamine.
Oh, I love dopamine.
Who doesn't love some good old-fashioned dopamine?
I know. It's
Good old
fantastic.
fashioned. So we're gonna get a little bit sciencey and a little bit nerdy, so bear with us as we talk about these chemicals. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, so it means it's a chemical messenger, guys. Okay, right? It takes messages. Think about like the mail, and it goes through the body that way. It's produced in the brain, but it's a feel-good hormone, and it rewards your system. Okay, it's a reward system regulator. So think about it that way. It drives motivation, focus, pleasure, which is why we all love it. And it is what encourages the repetition of the rewarding behavior. So you do something and it feels good. You're rewarded with a bit of dopamine. And that in itself is like the reinforcer of, oh, I should do that again. It's like giving your dog a treat after they've gone potty outside.
Yep.
Okay? Think about it that way. That's how what's happening for you. But it also does other things. It's essential for motor control, mood regulation, sleep, attention, and learning. So it does a few things. Okay. Most of us think about dopamine as the reward part, just because that's how it's usually talked about. So, but the motivation part is it acts as for us to achieve those goals or satisfy our needs, right? We talked about repetition of behaviors, motor control, right? It helps with coordinating smooth, voluntary muscle movements. So, like when you're intentional about moving your muscles, so like working out, or just walking, or you're taking your dog for a walk, whatever intentional things you're doing with your muscles, dopamine is part of that. It influences your memory, your focus, and attention. And it plays a role in learning, specifically the reinforcing of learning. Remember, reward system. Okay. So if learning is definitely reinforced, think about how we reinforce it in education. Remember all the gold stars we got as kids and our papers from the teacher? Yeah, that's the reward system. We all got excited. It's why, as adults, we all have problems with stickers. You see a sticker, you're like, oh my God, so exciting. That's why. But interesting enough, low levels of dopamine are linked to Parkinson's.
Yep.
So, also low levels are linked to depression and our good friend ADHD.
Hmm.
Extra high levels can lead to, if low levels are depression, high levels are anxiety,
Oh. Mania too, schizophrenia.
mania. Yep. Poor impulse control and being irritable. So that's what our good friend dopamine does. Now everybody have questions? You're like, God, that was a lot of science. I didn't realize today was a lot of science. I know.
Yes, science.
I know. I often make jokes that for someone who didn't go to school to study the brain, I talk a lot about brain science.
I am the one who knocks.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so that's what dopamine is. So, what happens if we are having low levels of dopamine? How do we get more? How do we hack it? What do we do with that? That's the question. How do we regulate? Ideas, Kelly?
Mm. Well, we could do things that we enjoy that raise the dopamine that provide us rewards. Like, I don't know, if you enjoy and find it rewarding to give to others, then you could go and do something that gives to others. You could, if you find it rewarding to exercise or run, then you could run. If you find it rewarding to do ABC, you could do that. You could try the medicinal route, medication like Wellbutrin that works on dopamine and dopaminergic routes in the brain. I love that word. There's that. Um, but you know, there's a lot of I've found a lot of people with talking points. Just in listening to people that I work with talk about how they're chasing the dopamine high. And they're finding reward systems in scrolling and things of that nature, just like random scrolling on their phone or whatever. They're just getting a kind of like
Mhm.
feedback loop, a biofeedback loop of role, perhaps of reward where it's like, oh, okay, my brain's shutting down. I'm shutting down from the day. I'm getting a reward from that. So they're getting some dopamine hit from that as well.
Yeah, no, we can talk about, we talked about some healthy ways of hitting dopamine. We can also discuss the unhealthy dopamine hits. Okay. So like if you are used to living in chaos and then life becomes stable and then you are seeking chaos outside, then you in other ways like impulsively buying, shopping,
Hmm.
you are spending money, gambling. We talked about other addictive behaviors at the beginning, so substance use, things like that, but also sex,
Yes.
chaotic relationships, things like
Yes.
that. When you're seeking them in those ways, that's dopamine hits that are unhealthy because there's a reward system that's feeding an unstable system, right? So while we talk about how dopamine is good, when you seek dopamine in unhealthy ways too, it also is bad.
I think with everything there is a balance, and too little or too much of a thing is probably maladaptive, whereas if you kind of try to stay in the middle. And so, you know, if you can, with dopamine, if you can slap a sticker on it and say, I got a gold star for this, then, it's probably a dopamine hit. Whereas the
Mhm.
next one I'm guessing we're getting ready to go to might be serotonin.
Yeah. Yeah. But before we jump into that, the other Kelly hit really good places on how you can um, support some dopamine or hack some dopamine into your life. But foods also help, certain foods,
Hmm.
fish, soybeans, and meats.
Ooh.
So those also help. being able to recognize that like it's not just go have good hobbies, also adequate sleep. And I do mean adequate sleep. I don't mean like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Uh,
I mean like 6 to 8, adequate sleep. Your hobbies are correct, right? They naturally increase your dopamine. All of this does it over time. But if you are consistent with that, 100% your dopamine will level. Okay. And that is important to know, right?
Absolutely, it's holistic.
So, right, not everybody, medication is not for everybody. So, recognizing that there are other ways that you can produce the dopamine that you need,
Hmm.
or that the reward systems just occur naturally. Um, and like you did a good job. You got praise, right? And not in a you have a praise king type of way, but just that someone praised you. You feel good about that. There's a reward in that. You get some dopamine burst. So
Yes.
keeping those things in mind. But yes, serotonin is up next, our good friend, serotonin. Because you can't have one without the other. All right. Serotonin is a vital neurotransmitter and a hormone that regulates your mood, sleep, appetite, and digestion. And crazy enough, 90% of this is produced in your gut, not your brain, yo. It does
Irony.
stabilize. I know, right? It's almost like gut brain health is a real thing.
Hmm.
Huh, crazy. Um, it stabilizes your emotion, aids in blood clotting,
I did not know that.
triggers nausea.
Ew, really? B- Asshole.
And influences your sexual desire. Yay,
Love-hate
serotonin.
relationship is developing right now.
Right? Everybody's like, fuck you, serotonin. I mean, great, serotonin. No, fuck you. Now, great. Oh,
I don't know
did
how
you
to
make
feel
up your
about you
mind?
right
Do
now.
I
I
love
know.
you? Do I hate you?
We're
What's happening?
splitting here.
Um, so basically, it's crucial for that brain gut communication and overall your physiological, your cardiovascular, and your mental health. So essentially, you need it.
Uh-huh.
It's important. It is your natural mood stabilizer. It reduces depression, regulates your anxiety, and eases stress. It influences how thoughts lead to one another. It promotes an optimistic bias. So, those of you who catastrophize on me probably have lower serotonin.
Mhm.
About 90% of the body's serotonin is located in your stomach. So it regulates your intestinal motility and fluid secretion and digestion. So if you have gestational problems, blame your fucking serotonin.
It has
We're
been a
starting to we're
minute.
starting to blame serotonin for a lot of problems. The people who are listening are like, this bitch is serotonin. Serotonin is fucking up my life.
I'm just saying, it's been a minute since I have revisited this, and I'm I'm really disappointed.
It's serotonin.
Especially, yes, especially considering it comes from tryptophan, which is in turkey.
And this is why we don't like it.
I love
Anyways,
turkey. But anyway,
uh the next thing it does is help with your sleep cycle. So it regulates your sleep wake cycles and it is a precursor to melatonin.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we'll go back to the blood clotting thing. The platelets released in serotonin help to heal wounds, causing your blood vessels to narrow and reduce blood flow. Now, it works alongside that good friend dopamine to influence sexual desire. Serotonin levels also impact bone density, where high levels in the gut might lead to weakened bones. So, if you have high levels, you might have crappy bones. High levels of serotonin in your gut trigger nausea. It plays a role in regulating your cardiovascular tone with effects on the vascular resistance, so your heart. And it's a key player in the gut brain axis. So it transmits signals from the gut to the brain. So basically, when you feel you have an upset tummy, it's your serotonin going, hey, 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 to your brain. Okay.
Rude.
Now, I know, right? Low serotonin, um, depression, anxiety, IBS, potential metabolic issues like obesity. These are the common consequences of low serotonin. So if you were just like, wait a minute, hold on, that feels like a lot because it is. Serotonin does a lot.
Yeah, it's busy.
It's a
Like
it's a
that.
busy little beaver.
That bitch is an overachiever. I'm just saying.
Listen, 90% of it is in your stomach, 10% is in your brain. So I need you to consider how much work it's doing in your gut to brain health, right? It's like all of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we talk about what you eat impacts how you feel, like it's a real thing,
Yeah, for real. That's
right?
true.
And if I didn't just run down all the science on that, I don't know what else to tell you to convince you that other than, well, if you eat turkey and you feel sleepy, that also should be a sign.
Yeah, you're making more serotonin.
Exactly, because you're tired.
Yep.
You've overloaded it. It's like, oh, it's time to go night night. So
Which actually fits with it because serotonin, unlike dopamine, says I am the reward. Serotonin says I am okay.
nah,
I am
exactly.
safe.
Right. Exactly. Which, if you consider all the things it does, are all about safety and support,
Mm-hmm.
healing your heart, bone density, right? Your digestive system, mood stabilization, like trying to help you be optimistic. Like if you consider all the things that it's supposed to do, its job is to be like, yo, it's good. Calm down, chill.
Mm-hmm.
We got this. We're good. When you're not getting enough of it, your reward center might be operating great, and your serotonin is like, oh my God, everything is on not okay.
Yes. But we got the rewards. It's fine. Type A personality.
And your stomach is like, oh God, I'm not okay. So very interesting to like recognize all of that. So for serotonin, um, really, it's important to recognize how much it does for you because it does so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big powerhouse in your life, which, we might not have all known. So, all right, life hacks for serotonin. Do you know any
What was the question?
life hacks for serotonin?
Life hacks. Um, well, considering you want for it to be okay, I'm thinking primarily to start with, and this is not for everybody, SSRIs, which tend to be, where people go. So that's the medicinal route. But I agree with Arlene. If it's in the gut, and that's the primary place it would be, then nutritional health. So one of the things that I was thinking about when Arlene was talking was, you know what, you go out for, let's say that you go out, I don't know, it's a weekend, and you go out and you have a few too many rewards in the club. And then you go and and you go to the Taco Bell and you mess your gut health all up. You're probably janking with your serotonin level and you're probably feeling pretty cruddy the next day. So maybe feeding yourself something that replenishes that. I'm not saying turkey, but I'm just saying.
I will actually say turkey.
I was gonna agree with you on that because it's created by tryptophan.
I was going to also say tryptophan is like turkey, salmon, eggs, tofu, nuts, and seeds.
There we go. And so beneficial things that bring that back. Water, um, anything that hydrates you, makes you feel better, that takes care of gut health. So probiotics.
Hmm.
Just taking care of your natural nutrition in general, because the idea is telling your body it needs more of a neurotransmitter that says, nah, I don't need a reward right now. I just need to know that I'm okay. I'm cool. Everything's
Yep.
chill.
So I will follow that up with like you mentioned the probiotics. So um, biggest thing that helps with the production is whole unprocessed foods. Which I know here in America is hard to
America.
get. But in some other places, it's a lot easier to access. Probiotics, so yogurt, things like that. But they support the gut microbiome and affect your serotonin production. But also you need make sure you're getting enough of the vitamin B's, B6, B12, magnesium, and the omega 3s because they're what turn the tryptophan into serotonin. So know that. So as we like identify those things, the other things to hijacking this is exercise regularly. It doesn't have to be like go lift. Okay. It can be walking, jogging, swimming, cycling. Those are primary, the beneficial ones, but it doesn't have to be those. Dancing would work too. Okay. Sunlight. Okay. Sunlight, 10 to 15 minutes of sun exposure daily, my good friends. So those of us who don't get that, get yourself a sad lamp.
Yep.
Okay. Definitely helps. When those of us who go with at least 6 months without consistent sunlight, I cannot stress enough how much those can help. But they also help with like honestly making sure your serotonin is great. We're back to sleep, man. Quality sleep. I'm really probably going to hit on sleep a lot because sleep is your BFF.
Boy, isn't it? Shoo.
Managing your stress, guys. Manage your stress helps with your serotonin. So does hanging out with your friends, actually.
Yes.
Socializing helps, things like that. And crazy enough, so does massage therapy.
Yes.
Okay. So those are all the good fun things to do. But just recognizing if you want to hack your serotonin, those are the things to do. And as we're coming out of winter here in the Midwest, everybody who hasn't seen the sun and then started to see the sun went, oh my God, I feel better. Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
No, no scurvy here.
guys, the sun is important. I often will say we are like plants. We need to photosynthesize, and this is why we don't get enough sun. We're not feeling our best. It's because our serotonin isn't as it's where it needs to help us to regulate. All right. I want to talk about the hypothalamus now.
Ooh, fun times.
Everybody's like, the hypothalamus. I'm going to talk about oxytocin.
Oh, the hugging.
So clearly this is produced in the hypothalamus. Okay. This one is commonly known as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. Okay. It's a big one for women,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a key part in childbirth.
Yes.
It's a key part in lactation. It's also big for social bonding. So that one comes for everybody. So, we'll run through the childbirthing one. So, if you are somehow male and this is going to be very difficult for you, you can plug your ears while I talk about breastfeeding and contractions in childbirth for like 3 seconds. Okay. Here's your trigger warning. So what oxytocin does is it stimulates the uterine muscles to contract. So oxytocin is the reason we have contractions. Cool, thanks. It also enables like lactation. So it's the reason you start to lactate. And I'm done with that. So guys, you can unplug your ears now. Okay. You're
I,
done being like, la la la, can't hear you.
I don't know if they can hear you though.
Well, somebody nudge him. Somebody like, hey, she's done. Um, it's important in reproduction for men and women, because it spikes during orgasm.
Yes.
It's good for other social functionings like pair bonding between partners, obviously maternal, paternal, infant bonding. And for social behavior, it enhances trust, empathy, social recognition, and positive social memories. It also reduces stress. So remember when I just said your friends help just a minute ago? Hey, this is why your friends help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it also modulates your amygdala, which is just a fun word to say. So you can just practice saying the amygdala for fun. Um, because it reduces reactions to negative or threatening stimuli. So, important. And that's the important stuff. That's what oxytocin does. So they also use synthetic oxytocin to induce labor, by the way.
Oh, is that what they use?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. They use it to speed up contractions and to prevent postpartum bleeding.
Oh, cool.
Dun, dun, dun. That's our good friend oxytocin. So it's the reason why you have fond memories of your friends and of your loved ones
Yep.
because you touched them, you loved them, and it went, "Aw."
It's also the reason why, if I want someone to know that I really, really care about them and love them, I will hug them for at least 10 seconds. Because hugging for at least 10 seconds or longer will release oxytocin.
Dun, dun, dun. One Mississippi, two Mississippi,
Uh-huh.
three
I've done that,
Mississippi.
but I also have OCD, so.
Sorry, this just reminds me of an episode of The Big Bang Theory. So that's why I did that. And if anybody knows what episode I'm talking about, you're welcome. Um, but that's what it does, right? Listen, Kelly just told you how to hack it.
hmm
Kelly just told you the hack for oxytocin.
It's really, really easy. But if you want some more hacks, meaningful conversations, playing with pets, massages, or just touch in general, as long as it's consent or consented to, acts of kindness, just in general, acts of service can hack oxytocin. Things that feel like love. And I think that that might be the takeaway is that given that oxytocin is associated with love and bonding, then the hack to it would be something that feels like love or bonding.
Crazy. No,
Right? I know. It's really.
crazy. So hear me out. Wait a minute. It Oxytocin is love and bonding. So I should then to get some engage in love and
That's what I'm
bond.
saying. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. I'm
Yeah.
gonna need to ponder this.
You know,
It's the deep one. It's the big one.
I know, right?
So I'm super serial.
It proved me wrong.
That's funny. But no, it's like this one is actually probably the easiest one for you to hack.
Truly.
Got a pet? Hunt down your cat and love it.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think in a lot of ways, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who might be listening who are not pet lovers, but for those of us that are, I feel like they know when we need that because at least for my dogs, they know when I might be lacking in some kind of oxytocin and they're just like, "Boop," and I'm like, oh, all of a sudden I feel this love, this love connection. And it's, it really does increase that feeling of bonding and connectedness. And I think that if we were to kick it back for a minute to social psychology with Roy Baumeister, he in his research stated that we as human beings need to feel belongingness. We have this sense for belongingness, and that's what oxytocin, I think, really, promotes is this feeling of bonding and belonging.
Yeah.
And when you give birth, you belong. You feel connected to your mother and your father. You feel connected to the people that you are doing things for. You belong. We are a tribe, air quote.
Agreed. Agreed. So 100%. All right. Are we ready?
I think so.
Endorphins.
Ooh, nice.
Again, we're staying in the hypothalamus.
Yeah.
So these are natural neurotransmitters, but they're in the pituitary gland in the hypothalamus. They are the pain relievers and the mood elevators. Okay. So they bind to the opioid receptors in the brain.
Mm,
They reduce
hmm
pain perception, decrease stress, and promote a sense of euphoria or well-being. So those of you who reach a runner's high, this is it. My
Yeah, it
guy,
is.
this is it. Which is often released during exercise, excitement, pain, and sex. Your endorphins, guys. Your endorphins. That's all them, right? That runner's high. You, right? Anybody who's an athlete who has like hit that all-time like big thing, that like that euphoria you get at the end, that is your endorphins.
hmm
100%. Okay. all of that euphoria after any big, I'm gonna say physical release, like an exercise, really, to be fair, excitement, pain, any of that, that euphoria type of thing is your endorphins, right? Been on a roller coaster,
Yep.
you get euphoria after you words, endorphins. Okay, so that's what those are. That's what you're feeling. Okay. Uh, I'll come back around to the binding to the opioid receptors. Yes, that's a what's the thing? Come back around
Yes,
to that.
I have some
But
thoughts.
but the functions of our endorphins, they block the pain signals by attaching to the receptors in the central and peripheral nervous systems. So they act similarly to pharmaceutical opioids like morphine.
Hmm.
Hence the reason I said I'd come back to that. There are also stress reductions. They're released to mitigate stress and anxiety to help manage the psychological pressure. Your feel good effects, like they like we talked about that runner's high. They produce feeling of pleasure, euphoria, and satisfaction. They provide immune support system, so regulate your immune responses and decrease inflammation. And they contribute to regulating your appetite and maintaining energy and balance in the body. Okay. So they are released in response to pain or stress. That's how endorphins work.
Hmm.
Okay. So when you're exercising, your body identifies that as pain or stress, guys. That's why your endorphins are released.
Yep.
Okay. Um, we can talk about the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system, but I really, really don't think you guys care. Just know it's all there. Okay. We'll talk about I'm pretty sure most of you guys know how to hack some endorphins, but we'll come back around to that. But low endorphin levels usually lead to physical aches, increased stress, anxiety, depression, moodiness, and potential addiction behaviors.
Yep.
Okay, so there's that. So, what were your thoughts, Kelly?
Um, my thoughts center around watching a lot of people come in and out of substance use treatment for opioid or, various other treatments, but specifically opioid treatment, going and immediately hitting the gym.
Hmm.
That was a habit. And this is why,
Yeah,
because it was hitting those same receptors.
yeah, same stuff.
Hmm. They were getting the same high, just in arguably a healthier way if they kept it to a point. But, it was doing the same thing to a point in the brain.
Yeah, you're exactly correct, right? We can argue healthier as long as it's still not addictive and they're still not doing it in unhealthy manners,
Sure.
but still trying to reach the same feeling,
Yes.
the
Yes.
same level of feel good.
And the reward still being the same, which would, again, probably tie it back to dopamine. Dopamine still being involved.
Yeah, so 100%. A lot of times, as you'll notice as we go through these, if you haven't noticed the connection yet, the impacts of the low happy chemical levels are increased stress, anxiety, and depression. That's almost all consistent if you have low levels of happy chemicals. And as
Hmm.
I've termed them happy chemicals, it would make sense that the low levels of them would be the opposite of happy chemical. It would be not happy. So understand that's why if there are low levels of these chemicals in your body, it's not happy, right? You have higher stress, you have high anxiety, you have high depression, you feel irritable or moody, your potential addictive behaviors because you're trying to fill that void. Like, just depends on what it looks like. It's the running theme of all of these,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's also important to recognize, right? We started these with this is the happy chemicals, and the impact of not having them is you feel like dog shit.
Basically, yeah. Literally.
No, which is why, again, we talk about why there are ways to hack these, why there are ways to like improve these, build these back up in your life in natural ways, because they're supposed to be there. You're supposed to have them in natural, occurring, healthy ways. Real quick, just as a recap, healthy ways to hack your endorphins, physical activities,
Hmm.
pleasurable activities to include laughing. listening to music, eating delicious food, and good therapies like acupuncture and massage. So you'll notice massage therapy is in there a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. I have another one more that's not necessarily a happy chemical, but it is one that if it's not good, it's a problem.
Oh, what's up?
Cortisone.
Hmm. Okay.
Because remember how we just said all of this is connected.
Yes.
So this mimics the natural hormone cortisol. So very, very similar to rapidly reducing inflammation and suppressing the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So think about like your cortisol. Okay. This is your cortisol. What I want to talk about is your cortisol level and what this does. Okay.
Oh, cortisol. I thought you said
Yeah.
cortisone.
Well, it's the synthetic version of it.
Okay.
Um, so what your cortisol does.
Stress.
Yep. Okay. So think about that, right? That's the important piece, right? It's your stress hormone. It's produced by the adrenal gland. It's your built-in alarm system to manage stress, your energy, and your metabolism. So this is what it does. It raises your blood sugar. It regulates your blood pressure. It controls your sleep-wake cycle. It reduces inflammation, and it often spikes in the morning and during your fight or flight situations. So for those of you with anxiety disorders,
Hey.
and or OCD, because that's not necessarily considered an anxiety disorder anymore, your fight or flight system is activated often or all the time. You
Yup.
have cortisol in your body way too fucking much,
Yeah, we do.
which means you have the tendency to have a higher blood pressure. Your sleep wake cycle might be off. Your blood sugar might be janky. Just some things. Just throwing that out there. Right. It regulates how you use carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins, energy level. It suppresses the immune system to keep inflammation down. So consider that's what it does normally. If you have constant levels of cortisol in your body and it's suppressing your immune system, that's not good. You're more likely to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It maintains your blood pressure, and cortisol levels peak roughly 30 to 45 minutes after waking to help your body wake up. And then they decrease throughout the day to help you with falling asleep. But we'll go back to if your fight or flight, your stress response is fucked, then it's not allowed to decrease because it's constantly high.
Yes.
So your circadian rhythm is off.
Yep.
Okay. Consistently high cortisol can lead to health issues like, hear me out, weight gain, insomnia, high blood pressure, and weakened immune system. So understand that anybody who's listening who has like chronic anxiety or OCD, where like you're feeling dysregulated consistently, if you have not sought therapy and help, there are physical health reasons why you should learn how to manage your constant fight or flight because it's actually bad for your body. And that's
Yes.
really why I wanted to bring up cortisol because constant anxiety is not good for you because it keeps you in a place where your body is not able to then reset and do what your cortisol level is supposed to. It's an asshole. I know. And those of you with anxiety or OCD I was like, dude, it's already an asshole. So you're telling me it's a bigger asshole? I am.
Oh no, me and my cortisol fight all the time.
So now I've talked about high levels of cortisol. Let's talk about low levels of cortisol. Constant fatigue, nausea and vomiting, weight loss and low appetite, and muscle weakness. That's the low cortisol.
See, that would cause me stress. Like, low cortisol would cause my cortisol to raise. Like, what is this? What is
Low
this witchcraft?
cortisol causes my cortisol to stress. So I have high cortisol because I had low cortisol. Now I'm
R-
just fucked.
Right. What is this witchcraft?
So the reason, but this is why I want to talk about cortisol, right? Is because it's super important. It's not necessarily a happy chemical, but it's important to the rest of the chemicals. It's important to everything going on for you. And as we're talking about the rest of them, it's a piece of the whole system,
Hmm.
right? We talked about stress, anxiety, and depression, and this is a byproduct of that stress and that anxiety. And so regulating that, learning how to manage your these things are very important because of the physical impact it has on your long-term health. And I think it's important that you know that.
Very much so,
So,
especially in regard to heart disease.
mhm.
Because exposure to high levels and high rates of cortisol across time with high blood pressure and other things. And I specifically speak to the women out there, no offense, men, but for us, it's specifically an issue because I don't think that we speak about it enough is under, diagnosed heart disease based on stress. Stress is a killer. And that's what, high rates of cortisol can lead to. It's basically
Mhm.
what Arlene is saying. Stress can kill you.
Yes, it can. And they don't ever put that on the death certificate, but they will put cardiovascular, they will put
Mm,
heart disease, they will put stroke,
yeah.
they will put the diabetes.
Diabetes.
So
Although they do
I
put it
do
on,
I do love the Wilford Brimley diabetes commercials.
I like the Wilford Brimley cat.
Listen, the cat about that is great, but the yeah, I've got the diabetes commercials
I know, right?
are the best. And if you are too young to know what I'm talking about, please YouTube that.
She's right, you should. But they do talk about stress being a killer on like, advertisements and what have you. They'll say that.
Yeah, no.
But
But I don't think we talk about it, to be fair.
mhm.
So, all right, Kelly, I've hit all of the things that I had when I considered this. Do you have anyone else, any other ones you want to add to the list?
I do.
All right, what you got?
GABA. I
Okay.
love GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter and it is, I don't know, it gives me joy because it always makes me sing the Ramones, GABA GABA, we accept you, one of us, in my head. Um, it acts as the brain's kind of like main brake and like nerve transmission. It manages stress, anxiety, and sleep. When you think of benzos typically work on GABA because of that, and it can be associated with insomnia, depression, and anxiety disorders. It responds to its own receptors, GABA A, GABA B, and aside from managing or aiding in, sleep, lowering anxiety, and it also has a role in epilepsy.
It
So
does.
paying attention to that and how GABA affects the brain in that regard. Um, PTSD, GABA is a function of PTSD, depression, ADHD.
Yep.
It has been noticed to imbalances have been noticed to, excuse me, be associated with schizophrenia, autism, although, there's studies are still out. Um, and just in general, alcohol, just so you know, does mimic GABA's general effects because GABA is sedative. It's relaxing. Like I mentioned, benzos, it's calming. It's related to sleep. Kind of puts you out, makes you mellow, kind of, slows you down. So, some hacks for GABA, ironically, would be yoga, deep breathing, meditation. Interestingly enough, for food, kimchi,
Mhm.
sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir, miso, and tempeh. I'm not a fan of tempeh, but you do you. Um, Salmon, chicken, avocado, and spinach. Magnesium is important too. So the vitamins B6 and magnesium. And if you want to limit the things that take your GABA away from you because you want GABA to accept you, because it's one of you. It is you. It's a part of you.
Be one with the GABA.
Be one with the GABA. Avoid excessive caffeine, alcohol, smoking, and
Oh,
chronic
shit.
stress. I
Define
know.
excessive caffeine. I'm gonna need to know the definition of excessive caffeine.
That's open to interpretation here. It says chronic stress too, so you know what? I
Well,
guess we're
fuck
all,
my whole life.
that's what I was about to say. We're all fucked here. It says to,
Uh,
exercise moderately. What is moderate? Who knows? You know, brisk walking. Do you remember that lady who prancercised? If
okay,
you're too
but
old to
if
understand
hold on,
that, Google that too.
hold on. I have a question. If I
What?
walk with Tom Cruise hands, does that give the appearance of brisk walking?
What are Tom Cruise hands?
Have you ever not seen him run in Mission Impossible? His
Oh,
hands are
like this? Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, that
Tom
does
Cruise
give.
hands. So
Yes,
if
that.
I walk with
Yes,
Tom Cruise hands, does
yes,
it
it
give the
does.
appearance of brisk walking without brisk walking?
It does. It also brings to mind Team America.
Perfect. I love this. I've got it figured out. I've hacked the hack.
If you want to hack your GABA, also
Tom Cruise
remember.
hands.
Oh, jeez. We've hit our SNL moment where we broke the fourth wall. I'm done. Um, sleep, sleep.
Clearly something we need.
Get some sleep, y'all.
Yeah.
If there's a takeaway from any of this, regulate your sleep. And all of you are probably out there like, that's what we've been trying to do.
I
Because
tried to listen to you guys while I was going to sleep and I'm fucked now.
it's probably not the podcast for, right before bedtime, unless you really want me to talk like this, and then I can.
Please,
I
please no. This is not that podcast. This is not a 1-900 podcast.
ah, the throwbacks in this one tonight. Whew, that's funny.
Also, I want you to know it was like a 900 number. What does that mean?
I know, right?
There's a lot of Googling for you guys who are young right now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
Uh, oh, but you know what? Take the opportunity to Google and learn. It'll be worth it, I promise.
Sorry,
There's
guys.
probably some really funny stuff out there for you. Come back, report.
Yes. Like there was 900 numbers. There were. There were.
Yeah, there really were, and most of the time there were
They
people
were.
smoking
There were.
cigarettes in kitchens.
They were naughty. They were naughty phone numbers. And the commercials came on after 10 p.m. because there was also a commercial that came on at 10 p.m. that said, "Do you know where your children are?"
Oh,
Because our parents did not know where the fuck we were because they didn't want to be parents. So they were like, "Go outside and you're not allowed in the house." And then at 10 o'clock, they needed to be reminded they were parents. And that's a real commercial.
yep.
Okay.
Oh
So,
boy.
and then the 900 commercials came on after that because then we were supposed to come in and then go to bed.
Oh,
So there you go.
it's a
There's
quote.
your 1980s history lesson and the 70s, by the way.
And the 90s.
Dun, 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 dun.
To quote
Welcome
Melissa
to growing up.
Aufmauer, it was the last analog state,
So exciting.
right? Oh, the
All right, we were talking about hacking GABA before we went off on a tangent about living
time.
before Google was invented.
Yes, and the one thing that I will say that really pisses me off about what they call GABA zappers, which just sounds ridiculous to avoid, is aged cheeses.
Really?
Yes, I take offense to that.
That's rude. So no fancy cheese?
No fancy cheese, and that,
Just sliced Americana? Do you
you
get
know what?
provolone? Do you get Swiss?
If it's not aged, it's fine, but you know
Oh, okay.
what? That can kiss my ass.
Yeah. I'm still don't know what excessive caffeine is, so that's questionable anyways.
It really is. But if you want supplements, magnesium glycinate, which, actually has been shown to be beneficial for people with OCD, L-theanine, and probiotics. So there you go. Take care of your gut,
Yes.
guys.
Perfect. And I will follow this up with there are oral GABA supplements, but the research does not show that that's effective because nobody really knows how effective they are at crossing the blood brain I'm gonna try that again.
I am the
The
darkness.
blood-brain barrier. Say that 3 times fast. Um, so recognizing that's if you're going to like hack your GABA, try the other ways and not just go for like the GABA supplement, period,
Hmm.
because that is not known to be the most effective way.
Yep.
So, but that's important to know too. Yeah, that's the good part. GABA's good, you know, it's the, did you know that it also helps control your movement and it reduces your muscle spasticity?
I did actually. Um, you know, I have a very loose connection right now, and if you had asked me any other time, there are studies that are being done with muscle spasms, maybe glutamate, GABA, and what have you, and OCD, because people with OCD are showing to have, or have been shown to have higher rates of muscle spasms than individuals without.
Children with cerebral palsy also have high rates of muscle spasticity because their tone is very tight.
Hmm.
So they also have that.
It's interesting.
Which also means that that GABA is low. And you want to know what's also interesting about the word cerebral palsy? Do you know what it
What?
actually means?
What?
Brain damage.
Really?
I mean, effectively, so what
I
cerebral palsy means, it's brain damage.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, just a fancy word for the type of brain damage.
I often wonder why we get the names that we give things.
Yep. Long story about why I know that, but that's it's not, now is not the time nor the place. But so it's a very interesting uh, reason why.
Hmm.
It's the specifically like brain damage that impacts your muscle development, your muscle and bone development.
Yeah.
So that's why they call it that versus like a TBI.
Okay.
But really, it's the same thing.
Cerebral being brain. That makes sense.
Yeah, random information I have in here.
The more you know.
Also, I have random information about TBIs rolling around in my head if you ever want to know.
I do too, actually.
So
Ooh, we should do an episode on those one day.
probably it'll be exciting. So, all right. On that note, anything else we need to cover on the happy chemicals?
No, I think we've got it.
Perfect. All right. Well, if you stayed through the science, you got some laughs in there as we tangented, like per
Yep.
usual.
You got the
Um,
shenanigans.
Now understand the science might be boring, but I do think it's always important to understand what's going on with you, what's happening in your body. Because if you don't know, then how the fuck can you do anything about it?
Yes.
So, understanding that we did give you some quick and easy tips on how to manage some of these things or address some of these things. And just remember, we are not doctors. We don't even play one on TV. So if you have medical questions, please seek a doctor. We were just discussing really what happy chemicals are, what they look like, what they don't do, what low versus does. So if you have questions about, hey, does this sound like me? Please talk to a professional and don't take this as we diagnosed you.
Yes.
This
God
is
no.
super important. But those are some things that you can do because most of it is just normal, like easy, healthy stuff anyways. So that's the all the important stuff. On that note, give us a like and a follow, a share, and another share, maybe. I don't know. Subscribe, you know, it helps us out. It lets us know you're there. It
Yes,
lets
and
us
you
know you
care.
care. It provides
Sh
us with oxytocin.
Sharing is caring.
It lets us know. I'm just saying. Maybe leave a comment. I don't know. Maybe one of these days someone will leave a comment and I will be so happy. That will provide me with all of my dopamine.
That actually would, and it would pro me too, actually, because I'm invested. I am.
Just some thoughts, everybody. But again, we thank you for hanging out and being along for the crazy journey. Kelly, I appreciate you hanging out and having the conversation with me.
Always.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unwinding with Support Group. Follow us on Substack. Give us a like, a follow. Give us a comment. Tell us what you hated, what you like, what you want us to talk about next. Let everybody know where they can find us too. But thanks for hanging out with us once again.